Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at what the strongest things seem to be from the preseason so far on day 1 and day 2. It's kind of hard to find this out really when things are so chaotic. Everybody's trying something random and feeding left, right, and center, right? These aren't like just going to be the only strong things that you can play right now, but these seem to be the strongest runes, keystones, and champions so far from day 1 and day 2 of the patch. I think it'd be kind of cool though if you guys share your stuff as well in the comments. So what is working for you, what you've seen that's really strong and stuff. So with my ones here I'm talking about and your ones in the comments, everyone should get a pretty good idea of what the preseason patch looks like. We're going to start with the runes and keystones first of all. So Aerie, I don't really know how to say this, but you can see it, whatever. I think this is the most underrated keystone at the moment. It doesn't really seem like it's the most overpowered thing. It doesn't seem like it's doing that much, but actually it's really, really strong. You can see from a few of these screenshots, we have 3 different types of people using these. Supports, which I think is what it's supposed to be for, mid laners, and also then we have random stuff like a Riven, for example. Rivens are using Aerie quite a lot right now, and they're doing a lot of damage with it. It's more sustained damage, I guess, in a way, but it actually works, and it's really, really good. This is something I think that once people figure out is going to be pretty good, you'll be seeing a lot more of Aerie on mages and other random stuff and supports over probably the next few weeks. Aftershock is the next one. It's also really underrated for how strong it is, I think. Not many people are talking about this at the moment, but they will be soon. The damage is pretty overtuned, I think, but it's also the resistant thing. You gain 30% armor magic resist bonus for 2.5 seconds when you proc this thing. It's kind of a little mini version of Sejuani's passive, which made her pretty broken. When she dives into a fight, you can't really kill her. That's the same with Aftershock. We have 2 different types of people using this. We have tanks like Rammus and Maokai doing like 1500 damage in a game, which on top of their base damage is actually really good. Then we have supports like Leona and Thresh, for example, doing like 1000 plus each game as well. That is also ridiculous. The big point is these tanks have pretty good base damage anyway in the game because that is how they're designed. So adding in even more from Aftershock is kind of making them more difficult to deal with. They have more damage and they survive a bit longer in the preseason patch. So Sudden Impact and Alescu are the next ones. I'm going to group these together. They are both nutty individually, but like when you put them together on the same page, they become pretty ridiculous. Sudden Impact first of all, and I might even do like his own video really, just explaining it because it is actually really, really strong and people don't really understand it, but I'm going to try and give you a short version. 10, 30, and 8 magic pen are what it gives you, and it makes a lot more difference than you probably think. A lot of people think, okay, 10, 30 means my AD abilities do 10 more damage, but it's not even close. Armor reduces physical damage dealt by a percentage. So 35 armor, for example, is a 26% physical damage reduction. If your ability is going to do like 1000 damage, for example, you're going to be doing 26% less if somebody has 35 armor. 10-30 reduces the armor total to 25 armor, which is a 20% reduction instead. So you've gone from 26% reduction to 20% just because of Sudden Impact. You're doing 6% more damage as an example. This also is increased by lethality items, making it even worse. So the lethality on the items like Dustblade and Ghostblade was increased to 20 this season anyway. Dustblade is 20, 10 from Sudden Impact, that's 30. You're now down to 5 armor and a 5% reduction. If you have a Ghostblade as well, they have 0 armor and you're doing true damage. Obviously, lethality scales into the game. It doesn't quite work exactly like that, but that is why it's so good and why people are running it so much. I can go into this properly in like a 4-minute video if you want me to. Let me know in the comments or like the video or something, but that's basically why it's so good. Electrocute is the second part of this, so you have more base damage on it than Thunderlords and a better ratio as well, plus it's adaptive damage. This is really big. Because it's physical damage for an AD champion, it means your lethality increases that damage done. It's more burst, and that's why it seems so broken. Kleptomancy is probably the most fun keystone in the game at the moment in preseason, but it's also the most broken. I think you can abuse this on a carry like Ezreal Gangplank easily. 800 gold, 1000 gold plus if you do it correctly on Ezreal at least. Most gold in the game without even trying. In the screenshot, for example, it's a decent amount of gold, but it's almost 50 consumable items stolen. That is absolutely ridiculous. You stay so far ahead of your opponent, you always have more items, so you have even more damage, and that is why it's so ridiculous, I think. For supports, you can run this. Sona, for example, is okay on. If you use it on Sona, you steal between like 400 to 700 a game, which is kind of cool, and a bunch of free potions and stuff. Dark Harvest is the last rune, and it actually works a lot differently to how people think it does, and I might do another video on Dark Harvest as well, and how it works, how you can abuse it, because it's actually really, really strong. The damage is the base plus your total souls collected over the game at that point. That means when you have 200 souls collected, for example, the damage is up about 350 or more at that point. If this is really, really good, like a scaling keystone that is insane mid to late game, especially if you have like a Dustblade or something, it's able to one-shot people super, super easy because you have so much burst. And something you have to remember as well is that all you have to do before a fight is go to a camp, get a soul essence, have it there ready, and then jump into a fight, and you're going to be able to proc this damage. If you one-shot somebody with this, which is what Shaco is doing, for example, you pick up more essence from that dead person, and then you hit the next person and you apply it again. So basically, it's kind of like a snowballing assassin keystone. That is why it's so good. So if we move on to champions, then obviously loads of different things work. So these aren't the best of the best. These are just things that are working really well on day 1 and day 2 to give you an idea of stuff you might want to try. It doesn't mean that other things aren't strong though. So don't only play these champions. It's just to give you a rough idea. We're going to go mid, then jungle, then AD carries, then support, and then top lane. If you want to skip to your role, that's absolutely fine. Just skip a few minutes ahead. I'm going to try and be as quick as possible. So Fizz and Zed are the first two in the mid lane. Sudden Impact and Electrocute, the AD and AP assassins. These are the best of each, if that makes sense. Electrocute damage is just crazy, like 4,000 damage for this Zed, for example. 2,000 sudden impact per dash. That's not like over the entire game. That's just per dash on average. That seems ridiculous. It seems like it's bugged, but apparently it's not. We also have Xerath and Lux's poke. It's actually an underrated way to deal with assassins. Never get close to them and you're going to be able to poke them down. So that is kind of why these guys are good, but the keystones are just really strong. Arcane Comet at the moment is the most popular. Aerie is going to become popular, I think, as well. But the Comet damage is like 2,000 plus a game, which is really cool. The Xerath one, you look at that. The Mana Flow Band restored loads, so you have more spells. And the Scorch damage, 750 damage from a minor rune. That is crazy. Malzahar works at the moment with literally anything. He's so good. Arcane Comet seems to be the best one. Like, honestly, it's too easy to proc on him. Look at this. Almost 7,000 damage from this. And that was a 30-minute game. What on earth is that? You can run Aerie though, you can run Phase Rush, Electrocute, whatever you want to do. Malzahar seems pretty busted. For junglers, Rammus is actually really good with Aftershock. He's like the counter to Assassins, okay? So everyone is playing Assassins, they want to one-shot people. Tanks like this, like Rammus, counter them really hard. Aftershock is really good anyway, but that's kind of why it seems like a free win to play Rammus and why his win rate is so good. They are strong, but it's the preseason meta that's doing it. Xin Zhao and Shyvana as well with Pressy Attack. So any kind of champion like this who has some auto damage, some burst damage, put them together with Pressy Attack and it's absolutely ridiculous. These guys are really strong. Udyr as well actually running the same page. Rengar and Kha'Zix, any assassin-y-ish jungler, as I just said. Sudden Impact and Electrocute is like a one shot in half a second maybe. It's absolutely crazy. The season has made burst champions absolutely insane because of what we talked about before and like the adaptive damage and stuff. Like junglers are no different here. The same thing for mid lane. Israel, but Shaco especially with Dark Harvest. Some other junglers like Kha'Zix or even maybe a Hecarim I saw do this actually, but I think Prez is probably better than him. More about that mid to late game one shot with Dark Harvest and it's scaling up during the game, but especially if you're buying Duskblade, the two together are absolutely ridiculous. It's like 700 damage from Duskblade and Dark Harvest once you get to late game. For AD carries, Ezreal with Kleptomancy is ridiculous. Broken beyond belief at the moment because of how much golden items you can steal. We talked about this a bit already. It's just too ridiculous. You want to ban him, honestly. Vayne is probably the most standard, best AD carry you can play with Pressy Attack mostly. The 12% bonus is way too good, especially with the silver bolts and your crits and stuff. Like, you're already a single target monster, right? That is pretty much what Vayne is all about. Right now, that's even better than before because of Pressy Attack. That is why she's so good. Tristana is Pressy Attack, similar to Vayne if you want to run that. Or you can try Lethal Tempo for better team fights, better scaling into the game a little bit. I don't really know which is better at the moment. I'm testing both and both have really worked. Synergy with her Q, though, with Lethal Tempo is ridiculous. Once you have your 3 crit items, you seem to really pop up. For support, Sona is the first one, who is, I think, the strongest champion in the game at the moment for the preseason. The highest win rate across every single game and pretty much like every single region as well. She's ridiculous. This is mostly down to Aerie, but just a champion in general. The keystone is perfect. It buffs her poke damage in the lane phase, right? Then it swaps to buffing her shielding for team fight. So she has a stronger lane phase and a stronger team fight, which were both already pretty strong anyway. Leona and Aftershock is a brutal combination. If Sona isn't the best, Leona is, I think, 100%. She got her damage buffed a lot in the preseason, which was already pretty high. You take her as a kill lane, and she is the best at that at the moment. She's insanely strong right now, and she's really good at crushing mage supports. So we have a lot of like Lulu and Soraka and Soda, for example. Finally, for the top lane, Kleptomancy Gangplank. I don't think this is the most legit build, okay? Grasp is probably going to be the best one overall. Electrocute seems to be pretty fun for burst, but Kleptomancy stealing all their gold and stuff is really cool. Joven is actually very underrated, carrying on his domination from last season with the domination tree. The Electrocute Sudden Impact, the same thing. It's just really good. You have really high damage, you have really high base damage, and you're seriously strong at the moment. Jax is the final one, but it's kind of a group of champions for Pressy Attack. Aurelia, Fiora are other examples of ones that are really good with this Tryndamere as well, I guess. Pressy Attack on Jax is the best though. It's absolutely 100% busted. I'm telling you right now, the damage you deal is absolutely unreal. We're going to see more people play Jax, I think, both in the jungle and in the top lane, but this is going to be around for a while. Pressy attack has such good synergy with Jax. Obviously, these aren't the only strong champions, okay? These aren't the ones I'm saying you have to play. Experiment, have some fun, see what works for you, and obviously check the comments, see what's working for everybody else. But these have some of the best win rates on day 1 and day 2 of the new preseason so far. If you enjoyed, make sure you like the video, subscribe. Thank you for watching, guys, until the very end. But for now, I'll leave you with the robots.